Today we're going to be talking about Today we're going to talk about a topic that uh, greedy corporations do not care to address, or in labor unions fail to address, which is mental health and jobs.
And here are some takeaways from job loss. You have increased anxiety and depression. Job loss often leads to heightened feelings of anxiety and depression. The uncertainty about the future and financial strain can exacerbate these mental health issues. You want to elaborate on that?
Here's what I'm going to elaborate on. If you don't have the right support system, you could when you lose your job. If you don't have the right support system, you're going to be vulnerable to drugs, alcohol, and domestic abuse.
A lot of times people, their job means so much to them. They go into a state of depression. They feel kind of helpless and
They can
worthless.
they feel kind of helpless and worthless without their job. It's similar to the South Korean and Japanese culture. Their job and their career is their identity.
What about the United States?
That's the same thing, problems that we're heading down the same path as Japan and South Korea in terms of that. And we're seeing, and what are the consequences of your job and your career as your identity? We're going to be below birth replacement rates because of it.
So we talked about identity and self-worth. Employment is a significant part of many people's identity, and losing a job can lead to a diminished sense of self-worth and purpose, impacting overall mental well-being. So most people that's without a job, they end up being homeless.
They end up being homeless, or they'll be up on drugs, or be doing some crime. And yes, and they'll be losing families too. It just doesn't affect just you, it affects the next door neighbor close to you. It's like when you lose a job, you're in a depression. When a neighbor loses a job, that's a recession. That was President Reagan.
Oh, okay.
Hmm?
So when a neighbor loses a job,
When a neighbor loses a job, that's a recession. But when you lose a job, it's a depression.
so there's not much interaction. Contacting your friends. You got people have their little house uh, wives on their jobs. So it's social interaction. You're losing a job results in reduced social interaction, and many individuals find community and support through their workplaces. And job loss can lead to feelings of isolation. And isolation is not good for anybody. So they need something. They need to get out and what?
They need to get out and socialize a lot more instead of relying on your work for socialization. Look to the libraries. Look to your library. Look to your aquatic centers. Look to your chessboard. Any community activities
Until you can get back.
until you get back on your feet.
All right, coping mechanism. Individuals may develop unhealthy coping mechanisms such as substance abuse, which you hit on earlier, to deal with emotional toll or job loss. So, a healthy coping strategy like seeking support or engaging in physical activities are crucial.
That's right. That's right. That means if you lose your job and you're depressed, learn just walk. Take swimming, take walking, take diving, take into your hobbies until you can find support, till you can get back on your feet. Because don't be taking like fentanyl and things like or opioids. Because don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth your job. Your job is not your life. Okay? It's just not.
But when people, you notice that a lot of times they work so long and when they lose their job or they get retired.
They get the forced retirement, which I hate that term retirement because retirement means they lose their purpose or something like that.
So what happens to most people when they lose their job?
When they lose their job, most people are retired. They just trying to find something else to do, and they don't know how to deal with it or cope with it. And I hate the word retirement for a reason because the only time you retire is when you're to the ground. That's the only time when you retire is when you go to your graveyard.
And a lot of people that do, they retire, and after they retire, it doesn't seem like it's long that they. Uh,
It's long that they're living longer.
mhm. So the you have to have a support system. Having a strong support network can mitigate the negative effects of job loss on mental health. Friends, families, and professional counseling can provide emotional support and resources for job searching. So it's always good to have someone, a
You got
support system.
you have to have the right support system, the right friends, and the right associates when you're losing it, and especially when you lose a job. Okay.
Do you think that a lot of jobs, like the big massive loss of the jobs at Ford or GM, is going to cause a great.
It's going to cause a lot of problems. It's going to cause a lot of social problems because it used to be that if you just getting out of high school, you could get a job at GMO Ford. But now with automation and outsourcing of jobs overseas, you're not going to be able to get that job today. So that is even worse. So we need to bring back trade schools. That's the first thing we have to do.
And so, well, we really need to address mental health, stick it up on the ballot too, like Amendment 3 uh, for women's health care, because uh, mental health is very important. And we've seen it play out in the presidential race, how people's mental acuity can diminish, you know, and for as the job, that can happen if they lose their job. It seems like that goes down quickly also.
Yeah, your job, it means your emotional goes down and your family goes down as well. And that's just and it's really serious in the United States. We should not have your job as your identity in the first place. Like in Europe, your job is not your identity. It's your character that's your identity.
And most times when people lose their jobs, and sometimes like in the United States, we're not as close knit as other uh, foreign countries. You know, they seem to pull together more tribally and help each other out. What happens when you lose a job?
And when you lose a job here and when you don't have close family and friends, you're on your own, sucker. That's just what it is. You're on your own, sucker.
Well, sometimes people they kind of burn themselves out because they go to their relatives and
And then
friends, and they kind of use them, and then they don't plan on losing a job. And when they lose their job, what happens?
what happens is that your family's gone with you. You'll be singing Harold Melvin the Blue Note song, "Where Are My Friends?" Yeah, when I'm down and out.
You'll be singing "Where Are My Friends" when you're down and out.
Yes,
You burn them out,
you burn them out. That's what happens.
you know. And I don't think like in this job market today, a lot of people's jobs are threatened by AI, by computers. Um,
By computers and technology. I mean, look what happens when you don't appreciate, when you mistreat your workers. We have a strike that could cause the economy to go down because of it. If you don't appreciate your workers and mistreat them, what happened? Look at it means port strike, and it could affect all of us indirectly.
but the job industry lost a lot of people because after COVID, they didn't want to go what?
They don't want to go back to work or face people
Okay, and they felt more probably comfortable and secure at home.
at home. And then when you associated a lot of jobs, when you a lot of people you don't want to see in a job. Maybe they need to be at home. And their personalities as well, depending on their value set.
Yeah. Um, Sometimes we take people out their comfort zone. They say, "Well, we need to get out their comfort zone," but some people work better, uh,
Look better in their comfort zones.
you know, and are more productive. You
Way
don't.
more productive. And now we're getting more people that are being forced back into the office. Like what Amazon is doing is forcing people back into the office, which is going to fire 10,000 more jobs. And the one that did that policy was Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, the CEO of Amazon. Another one that's against work from home policy is Jamie Dimon. And who is Jamie Dimon? The CEO of JT Morgan Chase, one of the most corrupt banks in the United States of America. Criminal banks next to Deutsche Bank.
Next to Deutsche Bank.
Yes.
Oh, so uh, you're not a fan of Jamie Dimon, huh?
Nope.
You know. So what would you advise to tell a person to do if they was, you know, uh, at this time losing a job, or would you tell them to, kind of.
First, find support. Go to your local library if you can. Go to your local library. Take a class. Um, Work on your hobbies and turn your hobbies to your love to your own business.
Warren Buffett had that. He said, "Do what you love."
Do what you love And take your time on some reading and finding the right mentors. And finding the right mentors. Like one of my mentors is Garrett Gunderson and Lori Douglas. That's just one examples. Positive human being mentors that treat you like human beings.
Oh, okay. But see, that's a problem too, because a lot of Millennium Z's generations, they don't do what? They don't what?
A lot of generations, they don't even read, which is that's very dangerous as well.
Okay.
Because you could be of if you don't read.
Mm. So on the job, what do they need to do for as they need to level up and try to
They need to just know their laws if they can. Or another job because you're not going to be finding jobs as it was 25, 30 years on the job now. You'll be lucky if you last 6 months on a job today.
what's the and for retirement, people don't really get a chance to
They
retire.
don't get a chance to retire. You're forced retirement because here's the thing. It used to be pensions like what Boeing was doing that unions wanted to get the pensions back. It is unlikely that you're going to get your pensions back into the 401k. And the 401k was, if you read the book called Who Stole the American Dream, the 401k system was never supposed to be used for retirement. It was more of a CEO pay or a tax record 401ks. It was never to be used for retirement. Never. And now you may not even get the 401k system. They stopped matching 401ks.
Okay. It's kind of what do you think is the longest length a person should work on a job if they in brick and
If
mortar?
if if they're brick and mortar, I would recommend at least 3 to 5 years if fortunate. 3 to 5 years if fortunate. If automation don't take it first. It's not the immigrant that's going to take your job, folks, okay?
Repeat that again. It's not the who.
It's not the immigrant that's going to take your job. It's going to be technology.
Okay. All right. So you think you covered mostly everything? Is you got more to say or what you got?
What I also got as well is that we cannot identify with your work because sometimes once that job is taken, your identity is taken from you. And we need to find other ways to identify outside of your work. That means find the right support system outside of work. That's just like dating at church. Doesn't work.
And that ladder of success. What do you think about the ladder of success on a job now?
There is no ladder of success. They just want to give you more responsibility with less pay.
And have you doing the
They want you, if you survive, to take more of the responsibility, but do you get to pay for it? No, you don't. And then they have this mentality of you're just lucky. You better be grateful that you had that job.
why do they feel like you should be grateful that
Because they're a number. Because you know what? Because they're a number. You're just a number to them.
so it's
And
better to work is it better to work for a smaller company or
it's better to work for either a small company or to build your own business yourself.
okay. And so with the
And
job
especially for your mental health, because you may have bosses and colleagues that don't have your best interests at heart. And if you're in the right to work state, oh my goodness. If you're in the right to work state, a boss can fire you for anything. Anything.
but it has to
It
be
has to be good faith.
mhm.
And that's what will be happening with Project 2025 because Schedule F for the government? Schedule F is they could just reappoint from career employees to political appointees and fire their workers.
So
Schedule F.
schedule F. Okay, so that means that you're marching in on a job for the sake of not benefit of earning, but for the benefit of being under somebody's roof or dictatorship or what?
Yeah, on somebody else's dictator. And remember, if you're working a job, they're not a democracy. Okay, remember that.
It's not a democracy.
It's a dictatorship. And if you have a problem with it, you could go somewhere else. It's not easy going somewhere else. That is not that simple to go somewhere else.
What about the companies that just don't seem like they want to change? You know,
The companies like the GMs and Fords, the G I feel really horrible for the GMs, the Fords, and especially the Walmarts. I feel bad for the guy that worked there to stay. That means stay away from these companies. Stay away from these companies.
One time, uh, when you worked for companies, uh, you worked at your own and you wanted to go in and get extra time, and now they got mandatory. Uh,
And some places have mandatory overtime.
yeah. And do you think that's unfair to the workers?
That's also unfair to the workers to have like mandatory. Depends on, again, what the profession you're doing for mandatory overtime.
Well, what happens is a lot of people say they work so hard that they can't even spend their money. They're too tired to spend it.
Yeah, to spend their money. So that's basically unfair to the worker as well. Unless if you're emergency services or something like that. It has to be like if you're a firefighter or a cop or military, that's one thing. But in the private sector, it will not work.
Now, you know, another thing that really stinks on a job is when you've been on that job for so long, and then you have other people come in behind you that will make more money than you. You've been there for years, and they nickel and dime you to death, and then somebody else come off the street and automatically get 14, $15 an hour. That's and even if you decide to quit or step out, it's not going to be beneficial.
It's not going to be beneficial. It's going to be even worse.
Okay, so did we get everything on the 5 stages of mental health and impacting your job?
Yeah, it does impact you. And guys, take care of yourself. I know the job is only temporary, okay? Your job is not your identity. It is not who you are, okay? The job is just to make money so you can take care of yourself and your family. But you have to look out for who is number one, and that is you and your family. Companies are not going to be loyal to you. You're just a number to them, okay? Work on your own mental health, okay?
So on that note,
On that note, and these companies that are doing these, that is creating mental madness, no, it's not your fault. Okay? Don't be taking no fentanyl. Don't be taking no oxycodone. Don't be taking no drugs because it's not worth your mind, it's not worth your body, and your job is not worth your life. Because you were not born into the job. Okay?
and another important thing is if you feel stressed,
If you feel stressed, find the right amount of people that will support you, the right amount of relatives, the right amount of friends, the right amount of in organizations that will help you get through this. You cannot go through this alone. Anybody that says I alone can fix things, no, you cannot.
and learn to take mental health
But
days. You entitled to
you
them.
are entitled to mental health. Learn to take those mental health days for yourself and your family. Okay? So, on that note, this will be it. And you will be seeing me tomorrow in tomorrow's topic.
On that note,
On that note, I am out.